Welcome on into 19 on the Clock, your Tri-State High School and College Sports podcast. I'm your host, Brad Pushkar. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Jackson McCarty. Jackson, welcome back to the studio. And
likewise, I suppose. It's a good time to be a fan. I think last weekend was one of the better weekends in sports that you get all year.
You know what? Yes, I didn't watch every March Madness game just because of running around and things like that.
How can you? You have to have a little bit of time to yourself.
Sometimes. I say when I put up quad boxes on Saturdays during football season,
yes.
but yeah, no, and I was saying this to a mutual friend of ours, Annie, a coworker, that it's so nice on the second round where you just get like a day of you sit there and it's just game after game after game. They don't overlap.
Yes.
They space them out pretty much perfectly. And I was just sitting there and like, this is nice.
I will tell you that I'm already annoyed about Thursday and Friday's games because UT tips off at 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Oh, listen. I realize that I am the lucky one here where Thursday the tip off I think is like 7 o'clock for Texas Purdue.
Yes.
It's the first game of the night. That's crazy.
Yeah, like what are we doing? And on Friday, or if this is how you're going to be about it, push it back. Make it Fridays and Saturdays where you can start at 5 because people are already getting off work by then. I'm not, but like people are generally.
Yeah.
And that way if you bump it up 2 hours, Tennessee tips off at 9 something. That's a lot more functional to me.
Even do an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. You get closer to like a 5:30 start. Mm-hmm. You get like a 7 something. You get, your 9 o'clock somethings. Like, there's a little bit of flexibility that you can work in there. And they're still on 2 different networks. So it's like, it's not like they're going to go back to back and heavily conflict and things like that.
It's just that's just silly though, because like we get the peak of college basketball, and then 1 week later we get living off Pacific time. Like the whole world is forced to live on California's clock.
And then like a week after that, they're like, oh yeah, it's gonna be like a Monday night championship, and
which college athletics has a real issue of doing that, putting their title games on Mondays. Don't get it.
Yeah.
The whole college football season is played on Saturday. Why are we doing that?
I agree with. Like, just take advantage of the weekend. Like, take advantage of Friday, Saturday, Sundays.
Yeah.
Don't go into Mondays. Don't go into. Well, you can keep.
Yeah, you can still
Tuesday and Wednesday night action, but
yeah, absolutely.
But
I say we're doing a lot of complaining, but it is a great time.
It is a great time because we're so happy that it's the Sweet 16, and
absolutely.
There's been already some big news for Bearcats fans as they have a new coach.
Yes, the man who it seemed like pretty much everyone wanted.
Yeah, it was kind of a win, not if feeling.
Like Travis Steele was the only other name I remember hearing in this race, and Travis Steele never felt like a real option.
Yeah. So this is the new head coach, Jared Calhoun. He was a student assistant under Bob Huggins back in 2004, I believe it was. Like 2003, 2004. And then he ended up coming back under Huggins at West Virginia. He was the director of basketball operations before becoming a head coach for Fairmont State from 2012 to 2017, Youngstown State from 2017 to 2024, where he took the Penguins to a NIT appearance, a regular season Horizon League win, and was Horizon League Coach of the Year, and then has been leading Utah State for the last 2 years, where this year he was named Mountain West Coach of the Year, and has brought them to 2 NCAA tournament appearances, a round of 64 and a round of 32 loss.
I think it's really interesting that it only took him 2 years at Utah State to get his next jump. I know you see the ties was a lot of it, but his predecessor at Utah State is now at Washington. And, it was a really good program when he stepped into it, and it just continued to stay good. So part of that, I was like, okay, everybody's very serious about it, and because he's a winner, he's shown that everywhere he's gone. But that was the only part that gave me any kind of, not pause, but, thought. of like this might not be the most surefire deal, but he does seem like a pretty legit guy.
The thing that I like the most is actually the time at Youngstown State.
Fair.
Because that 7 years that gives you, that shows like, oh, you can build a program and end up winning. When you win the regular season, you get to the NIT, you are coach of the year in 2023, things like that.
Yeah.
That I think that's the kind of it is going to be tough, because I think part of me goes, the fans are gonna give him 2 years, and but you want to see results in year 2. First year's kind of, we're probably gonna see what comes out of it, because I'm assuming it's gonna be a brand new roster. I'm assuming you're gonna have very few players staying over, but I don't know what the discussions are like that right now. But if you can start to recruit for the second year, you can get guys in, you can find those transfers that can make a difference, whether it only be for like a year, like if you get a bunch of grad transfers and stuff like that, or you do get like the young, sophomore that wanted more playing time, or to play in a bigger league, in a bigger conference, things like that.
That would be very Huggins of him to just bring in a bunch of old guys, because that's what he did here, and it worked. The disciplinary stuff was more the issue with Huggins' tenure than the actual talent, obviously. But yeah, Calhoun is in a situation now where it sounds like they're going to give him a boatload of money. Nakos from On3 was reporting upwards of $10 million to build this roster.
Yeah,
that's real. And that's like 5 stars, like top level transfers. And I think that we're going to see a similar situation to what we saw with Patino last year, but on steroids. I think that they're going to empty the cupboard out, less so by nature and more so by choice. Obviously, that was not the same situation as Patino, but they're going to be able to bring in all the resources that they want, the guys that they care to bring. I'm sure that a handful of Utah State guys will come. I'm very interested to see what the floor plan, if you will, of Calhoun's first roster looks like, because if they do it right, they could be right back in the tournament next year, and with a legitimate spark to them, I guess.
Where was Patino before Xavier? Immediately before? Because I know he was at Minnesota, but there was something in between, wasn't there?
Yeah, it's. Hold on.
Because I'm completely blanking, and I can only think of St. John's, and I'm like, that's not correct.
No, because
it wasn't another
New Mexico.
He was at New Mexico.
Yep,
that's right. Okay,
he's been the head coach of FIU, Minnesota, New Mexico, Xavier.
Okay.
See, I don't think
because I don't know if I want to say this, but I would say there's a little bit of a difference between going from Utah State to Cincinnati, that you might want to see, that more players might want to transfer with him.
Yeah.
Versus New Mexico to Xavier. I don't know. I feel like the former is a bigger step from Utah State to Cincinnati than a New Mexico to Xavier now.
I would agree to a certain capacity, but I'm
not saying it's drastic, but it's just
right.
It's a different
I do think it's interesting because you can also just be okay, you left a Mountain West school to go to a Cincinnati school, and I think being in the Big 12 helps.
That's what I'm thinking. Where it's you get that Big 12 bump a little bit more than the Big East right now, but I don't know if it's that huge.
Well, just financially,
yeah.
The Big East doesn't draw football money.
Yeah, but the money that they do draw, they can put all into basketball and things like that. So it's
but I'm sure you can find studies that's football is the driving factor in these revenue deals, and it is the big fish. And I like basketball a lot. It's a great time, but it's still a situation where you have to. Football raises all tides.
Yes,
and the Big East is not currently in a position. They're not on a boat right now.
Yeah, that's a very fair point.
Yeah.
So Jackson, last week we had Austin Brisky join us to build our 19 on the clock bracket.
Yes.
I wanted to go ahead and give an update for the fans that are following along out there. Because our bracket is in the 90th percentile.
Yes.
490 points with 1610 max right now. Some of our big misses were the Florida upset that
Yep.
I'm sure a lot of people also missed. I say trying to make myself feel a little better.
I mean, it was a 1 seed that went out in the 32.
Yeah.
Like, I did give Brisky a
it was
little
the
bit
former
of static.
champion.
Yeah. I did give Brisky a little static because I do remember him coming on this podcast being like, I just don't like Iowa. And
Yeah.
so I had to light him up a little bit on that one. But he gave it back with Kansas, so don't worry.
I was hoping he would also give it back with that you loved McNeese.
Yep.
Losing by 10 to Vandy.
Yes.
VCU beating North Carolina was another one that we missed.
Mm-hmm.
And not believing in the Wildcats to move on past Santa Clara, another one. And then our Akron Texas Tech game.
Yes.
Tech arguably outperformed there, but I think performed to the level that we expected from them against Alabama.
Yes. Yes, I would agree with that. I think we just overestimated JT Toppin. I think we underestimated the talent level of Texas Tech even without JT Toppin.
Yes. Yes. And our last big miss, Gonzaga, because we do have them currently beating Purdue, but that game is Texas versus Purdue on Thursday at 7:10 p.m.
Yes.
Shout
out Graham Ike.
Now, there's 16 teams left, and one of the things that I saw going around on the internet this week, if you want to open up the link that I have given to you for your blind reaction, it is a ranking of head coaches in the Sweet 16 done by the Twitter X page College Basketball Review. Now, here's going to be my thing.
I don't like this.
I think that the very top is offensive to a level.
Okay, Hurley's fine.
You are okay with Hurley as number one when you have because
is it today or is it all time? If it's all time, no. But like if I'm starting a university tomorrow and I get my pick of the litter of coaches,
you're taking Dan Hurley.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's fine. In my head, I think Izzo is still too low.
Oh, 1,000%.
Because let me read it off.
The list starts at 3. It goes Hurley, then it goes Izzo.
Agreed. Because right now they have ranked Dan Hurley number 1, Kelvin Sampson with Houston number 2, Rick Pitino 3, Tom Izzo 4, Dusty May 5, Nate Oates Alabama 6, Calipari 7, Matt Painter with Purdue 8, Tommy Lloyd with Arizona 9, John Scherer with Duke 10, Rick Barnes with Tennessee 11, Fred Hoiberg with Nebraska 12. TJ Otzelberger at 13 with Iowa State, Sean Miller at 14 with Texas, 15 Brad Underwood in Illinois, and 16 Ben McCollum with Iowa.
Yes.
So it was one of those things where when I immediately looked at it, I went, "You're putting Matt Painter at 8? That's crazy." But I was like, when I really sit down and I look at it, I go, that's not that bad.
No, I'm not a crazy Kelvin Sampson guy. I'm not a crazy Nate Oates guy.
I think Dusty May and Nate Oates being above Painter, though, is too much.
Shire at 10 doesn't make any sense. He's the most winningest.
That was another one.
Guy of like all time, which I know it's like Duke, but still.
And it's like it's one of those things where I do get to the bottom, and I'm like, well, how can you have Sean Miller at 14? But I was like, when I really sit and look at it again, I'm like, well, at most I move him up to 12 or 13, I think.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's actually not that much of a shift.
Obviously, I love Barnes. I would try to find a way to move him up, but like the guys above him, it's hard to.
Yeah, well, and I feel like Oates and Sampson are less of like the coaching and more just the teams.
Yes.
Like that they have gotten good players.
They're really good recruiters. It's the same thing that the stigma Cal has, but Cal has become like actually invested since he got to Fayetteville. So like I am removing some of that.
Because that's one of my cases with like Painter, where it's like he hasn't just recruited 5 stars every single year. If he gets 1, he's lucky, but he works with 3-4 star guys. And I feel like Hoiberg's kind of in that same situation at this point, where that program has grown. Somebody said I saw somebody say something along the lines of Nebraska and Indiana swapped football and basketball programs.
Kind of.
And I was like, yeah, it's actually not that crazy.
A little bit, yeah. It was both from the 90s.
Yeah.
Like we skipped 30 years and then they switched. And then they're like, all right, here, you can have this now.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We need to be good at one of these.
We're supposed to be relevant in something.
Yeah, so, I mean, is there any major ones that stand out to you on this that you go, that is insane?
Kelvin Sampson at 2 is crazy to me. I would take Izzo over him. I would take Dusty over him. I would take...
I'd put Patino over him still.
Yeah, probably. I think that the problem with these lists, because they're always for engagement, right?
Yeah.
That's
why we're engaging with it.
Yeah, exactly. But it's because they never set what the ranking
parameter.
Yeah. Is it today? Is it all time? Is it future? Is it, whatever? So, like, just taking it at face value, playing a game tomorrow, who do I want coaching my team? Kelvin Sampson is not number 2.
Yeah.
Kelvin Sampson's not in my top 5.
Yeah, because I kind of take it as a today with their history. You know what I mean? Like, you can take it into account, like, what they've done. But, you're right that, like, Hurley is younger than a Izzo, that you would want him for the future, so it makes more sense. But, like, still at the end of the day, I don't know if I want Hurley coaching immediately over Izzo is where I kind of sit. But
absolutely. It's funny, I'm scrolling through this list, and it's just Iowa fans.
Oh, there was a lot of upset Iowa fans, which I think is actually kind of fair too.
Yeah, totally valid.
But it's also one of those ones where he's probably just getting thrown on there because nobody has engaged with Iowa basketball that closely. That's outside of Des Moines.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably put him over Otzelberger and Underwood, but like it's maybe Miller. But like he's in Miller's section.
Yeah. Well, and like Underwood's a really good coach too, that I'm just like, I don't know how high I can put him compared to some of these other ones.
Right.
So it's almost like I'm in my head, I'm like, I think Otzelberger goes to the bottom.
Yeah. I think he has to.
It's kind of where I would rework, so.
But okay, yeah, that's...
But yes.
Yeah, that was an aggressive thing to just click into and see.
You're welcome. Do you want to do some quick picks for the Sweet 16?
Yeah.
Well, I can just run down the games.
We can do that.
Duke St. John's.
Duke.
I agree. We still have them winning in our bracket. UConn, Michigan State.
You're kind of like Michigan State.
You're leaning Michigan State?
Yeah, a little bit. Even it just worries me that Hurley knows how to win.
I did just say I would probably pick Izzo to coach a team over Hurley, but I'm also well aware that like I'm not just putting a random team on the field.
Literally.
I kind of like Michigan State here. I feel like UConn is getting a little loose and not as locked in. I'm going to save the South for last. We're going to the West. So Arizona, Arkansas.
Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona's been looking. I know we have Arkansas winning our bracket, but I really feel like Arizona's showing good stuff here.
But man, if that Arkansas offense comes alive, that becomes such a big problem. Yep. I mean,
Texas, Purdue. Okay.
Yeah, Texas is not an underdog. Like they're a high seed. They're not an underdog. Mm-hmm. I think that has to come to an end here. I think that they've just kind of overstayed their welcome.
Okay.
And Purdue's going to handle it, and then we'll see how that goes next week.
Michigan, Alabama.
I don't really like either one of them. Give me Bama because I just don't like Michigan. We talked about this. I just don't get it. I like Yaxel. Yaxel's nice. I'm trying so hard to keep you from talking about this next game.
And it's Tennessee, Iowa State.
Iowa State.
That's kind of where I'm leaning as well.
Well, but like I when we did the bracket pick, I was openly like, I don't think we're that good.
Yeah. You were kind of like Sweet 16's a ceiling.
I just it sucks to win that Virginia game the way they do, in the nail biting fashion, in like just as stressful as that game was, and then have to bet against your team.
Yeah, it's kind of like I feel like Elite Eight is the ceiling for Purdue going into this year, and if they get it there, I'm like good, and if they go past, I'm like great, but I'm not like if it ends at Arizona, I go okay, we're doing all right.
I will say if this is the roster that it gets Tennessee's first Final Four somehow, I will be beside myself.
Yeah.
It will make no sense to me.
Love that. Illinois, Houston.
Ooh, Houston.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's where I would lean to.
Yeah.
And then finally, the battle of the Midwest, the heart of the Midwest, Iowa, Nebraska.
So much corn.
Hawkeyes versus Cornhuskers.
Man, I kind of like the idea of Bennett Sturts just being like the tournament guy. So give me Iowa. Why not?
You want an Iowa upset?
Yeah,
I
sure.
like it.
Sure.
I would go Nebraska.
That's the smart play for sure.
I like the gusto there.
Yeah, and Hoiberg's like good. Like not to say obviously we just defended McCollum, but that one is going to be maybe the most fun game of the slate.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because what day is that?
Friday, right?
No, it's tomorrow at 7:30. Oh, I'm gonna have to double box that with.
Absolutely,
double box that with Purdue. All right, yeah, I'm looking forward to that one now. And then we wanted to take a quick look over at the women's side of things. We didn't do a full pick with them, but I did build my own bracket that is doing okay right now. Not a major surprise. There's a lot of all the 1 seeds are still alive. South Carolina, Texas, UConn, and UCLA. Are all the number 2 seeds still alive? No. Number 2 Iowa was upset by Virginia, which is kind of shocking. I won't lie.
Yeah.
So Virginia's playing TCU, the 3 seed. South Carolina's playing Oklahoma. Notre Dame is up against number 2 Vanderbilt. UConn taking on North Carolina. UCLA is taking on number 4 Minnesota, and number 2 LSU versus number 3 Duke. And then in regional 3, you have number 1 Texas taking on number 5 Kentucky, and you have number 2 Michigan taking on number 3 Louisville.
Yeah.
These are this is a Texas, South Carolina, UConn, and UCLA feel like they're going to be the Final Four.
Yeah,
quite honestly, and it's that thing that's just kind of stuck with the women's side of the tournaments, where it's just like it's the 1 seeds, and then you kind of work of who gets to play them.
Right.
I know I had said before, I think Louisville is the team that likely would go further. Kentucky, like they both got 1-point wins over their last opponents. Kentucky beat West Virginia 74-73. Louisville beat Alabama 69-68. While Michigan won 92-63 against NC State, and Texas won 100-58 against Oregon. I think at my
there we go. You know what happened there? I hit the mute microphone on the deal, but not the mute volume.
I love that for you.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't see either team really making it to the Elite 8 at this point.
Okay. I mean, you're about to run into the buzzsaw if you're Kentucky.
But I'll say I think Louisville will have a closer game to Michigan than Kentucky will to Texas.
Yeah. That feels fair.
But we'll just kind of have to see what ends up happening there. So
yeah,
that is what we have got for the college side of things. And you're ready to start handing out some awards for the high school side of things.
Yes, I am. So obviously the basketball season has come to a close in the Tri-State at the high school level, like you said.
Yep.
And there's no better way to put a bow on things than to start, making lists and shouting out players who had great years.
And start looking forward to next year and making a
yeah. It's that's what we do. That's the nature of the business. I will say, I have selected my all-star lineup, if you will, the players that I think you will most remember from the season, kind of the cornerstone guys that kind of propelled their teams forward and so on and so such. I have so many honorable mentions. I'm going to make like 20 lists and give them to you, and we're just going to put them in.
Okay.
But we'll do that at the end because I do have a couple guys I want to just like quickly shout out in that. But you are going to help me pick Team of the Year and Player of the Year.
Yes.
So first and foremost, let's talk about this all-star lineup because it's also worth noting these guys are your candidates for Player of the Year. All 5. It has to be one of these dudes on the all-star lineup. Simple. Number 1, the point guard of this roster, Athens McGillis, Covington Catholic. 22.4 points per game, 54.3% from the field, almost 38% behind the arc, 3 boards. Kentucky doesn't give you assist numbers, but the kid was a dimer. just crazy. Every time we played Athens McGillis highlights, I remember the last time we talked about him, you came up to me and was like, "Hey, dude, like, what is going on here?"
Yeah.
This kid is sick.
I was like, "Oh, that's crisp."
Yeah, he's a beast. And Athens McGillis obviously became such a highlight and a focal point of the season as a whole because of how revered Covcath was. He is committed to Nova Southeastern University, the D2 champions of not this season but last. So very interested to see how that goes for him. I think he could be a stud. If he was, he's like 5'11". If he was 3 inches taller, I think he's at the D1 level, truthfully. But yeah, Athens McGillis making this list. The other guard I've got here, and I do also want to mention, because I don't think I did at the top, I'm not allowed to use any one school more than once.
Yes.
That really wasn't an issue this year.
I feel like this pick would have been the only one where you would have had a harder, not the hardest, but a hard, like a decision to make.
Yes.
And I guess technically you're center, but I think you've made the correct choices.
Yeah, it felt wrong to not have Josh Tyson on this list. He is obviously the highest ranked prospect in the Tri-State for the class of 2027. The junior has 16.2 points per game, 62.7% field goal percent. Is crazy to me as a guard. 3.3 boards, 2 steals, 3.8 assists. Does a little bit of everything. His scoring numbers were down a touch because Bryce Curry, obviously operating alongside him, had like 12 points per game and is also another 4-star. But Josh Tyson, very much a guy that at the beginning of the year we said, watch out for this guy because he's probably going to be an issue, and he was.
Yes.
And Lakota West got all the way to the region finals with Tyson as one of those key pieces. Isaiah Mack Russell from Winton Woods. We know plenty about Isaiah Mack Russell because we have talked about him more weeks than we haven't on this podcast because he has been a human highlight reel. He's listed as a guard, but I had to get him in as my small forward here because it would be wrong to not have him on this list. 23.6 points per game, 7.6 boards, 1 steal. He is currently a 3-star prospect. I do fully expect that to go up. If you go to a game and you watch Isaiah Mack Russell play, you do not leave going, yeah, that kid's a 3-star. You think a lot more highly than that.
Yeah.
Dante Farley, my other forward here, not a player we got to talk about a whole lot because Lockland was not that great, truthfully. But Dante Farley was carrying pretty much every night. 24.5 points per game, 14.3 rebounds, 2.3 steals, 1.9 blocks, 6 games of 30 or more points, including a 40-point outing. I wish that Farley would have gotten more time to shine. But, oh my gosh, look at that stat line. What is that?
Can we come back to him when we get to the player of the year
stuff?
Because I was going to, because I think I can, like, I want to talk about him, but I'm also in my head, I was like, it just ties directly into the player of the year discussion.
We can, and matter of fact, we will go player of the year and then team of the year.
That works.
So that way, this is the most fresh on.
Yeah.
And then obviously the last guy here, it feels a little weird to have him on just because he came in late to the year.
Yes.
But I will say that I think that having bigs, it was just a weak spot for the Tri-State. We have all those guys that you see me have highlighted on this list that I want to specifically point out in the honorable mentions are all guards.
Okay.
So, like, my next 4 guys that I was like, man, it sucks that I can't get these guys on, all guards. So, Cam Mercer's spot was never really threatened. And, he does carry kind of that lineage in that lifts him up here. So 14.2 points per game, 5.4 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 2.5 steals, 0.8 blocks a game.
Yeah.
We've had cameras at his games so many times this year. He is a composite 5-star. He is a true on 24/7 Sports 4-star, and he looks it. He's a freak. They had him running center, even though he's naturally a guard, just because he's 6'5".
Yeah.
So like you could probably bump Farley down to center and play Mercer at the 4 here, just for the whatever. But for all intents and purposes, it doesn't really matter. Just an anchor that your team needs, and with the amount of talent and skills that he has, you just can't leave him off a list like this.
For sure.
Of those honorable mentions, real fast, Anthony Blacker from Lloyd. It broke my heart to not have you on here. Over, I think it's like 25 points per game. Kid's nasty. Finn Loudon from Connor, another one. Chase Martin from Loveland. Antonio White from Deer Park. Antonio White averaged like 30 points.
Okay.
And I had to leave him off because...
you had to?
Yeah, well, because Deer Park's schedule and whatnot is a little. But, like, he's a true point guard. Athens McGillis is a true point guard. I think if you're building a team around, you're probably going to take Athens.
Sure, yeah. I think that's fair.
Even though Antonio, great year, fantastic. It's going to be a number that you'll tell your grandkids about eventually, and they will not believe you. And that is what we look to cover on this podcast. But yeah, so Brad, the floor is yours now because we've got 5 guys to pick between on Player of the Year.
And do you want to have Ped put up all the honorable mention names?
Yeah, I'll send
you
the lists,
Beautiful.
And then you can just be rotating whenever I get to the honorable mention.
Okay, cool. So here's my thing with the immediate response to Player of the Year.
Yes,
I think Cam Mercer is excluded.
Yeah,
as much as there you can. It's like a year where like LeBron is injured.
Yeah,
and is out. It's like he's still the best player.
The game's
in the
rule
league
that they have now.
Yes, exactly. And so it's like I wouldn't feel right putting the 14.2 points per game, 5 rebounds, 3 assists a game guy as our Player of the Year. Even though Princeton has been a great team and obviously he is a great player.
Yes.
I think I have to knock off Tyson second, simply because he and Curry are such a duo that it kind of hurts them both.
Yes.
It's kind of like that the Warriors of Curry and Thompson. So it's very close namings here.
A little bit, isn't it?
Again, like great players. We're just gonna we got to eliminate this slowly. Athens, Isaiah, and Dante.
Yes.
Make it very interesting, especially because it's I guess we've knocked it down to a guard and 2 forwards, which I think in my heart of hearts, I might use a little eye bias and just be like, I gotta knock off Farley because I haven't seen how he plays, whereas I've seen the way Isaiah Mack Russell plays, and for only 0.9 points per game less, it kind of is doing a lot.
Yeah,
like I think just the difference that Lachlan with Farley needed more from him to not get as far per se.
They were a
whereas
6 and
Winton
17
Woods
team.
can take everything that Mac Russell gives and add to it and end up, what were they undefeated? Were they undefeated in like the regulars in the conference or whatever?
Who?
Winton Woods Warriors.
Yeah, they were real close. They were maybe 2 games away from
the only thing they lost was like out of town teams, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, for the beginning of their year. Oh no, they were 16-0 in the ECC.
Thank you. Okay,
yes, you had that right.
And to me that just screams a dominance that, is the difference between Winton Woods and Lachlan this year. So that puts us to Athens and Isaiah Mack Russell and. Isaiah Mack Russell's a junior, right?
Yes.
See, part of me just goes, well, this is the last year we're going to see Athens then.
And I think the decision you make on this is going to tell you a lot about who you think the best team is.
Yeah, probably. I think I'm going to pick Athens here, partially for the fact that we can come back here next year and put up Isaiah McRussell again.
Yes. Well, assuming, like, obviously, by no means do I want to wish any kind of anything or put any of these ideas out there. But assuming he stays in the tri-state,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because, like, we know the prep schools and whatnot tend to like to pull those talents. But
and he moved down here for it and everything. So yeah, like obviously things can change. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Athens McGillis. I think as our pick here,
and I think it's extremely valid. I leaned Isaiah McRussell a little bit, but you're right with the seniorness and like the Athens had a couple different players like with him that were averaging pretty decent numbers, and he was still doing that.
Yeah,
because he was not only scoring at that level, but he was also distributing it at a really high level.
I think that's the thing is that if we had those assist numbers here, you and I would go, oh well, he was creating so much, and that like we have obviously seen, and if you're watching the video version of this, you will see some of those plays. That I think that's just the better. Like he's got a little bit more of that all around point guard. He is fitting the definition of a point guard.
Yes,
the best, and I think that's kind of what I'm
very Stockton
adding on to. Yes,
very
absolutely,
very well. Nastier handle than Stockton, but the pass first, but can still absolutely provide all the buckets you need. All right, Brad, we've got a lot of familiar faces again because team of the year. It serves to make sense that if you have a really good player, you probably have a really good team. 2 state champions in Ohio on this list, a team that we called the best team in the tri-state all year long.
Yes.
And then a team with arguably the 2 best prospects in the region.
Yes.
It's a full list. First, the Covington Catholic Colonels. They lost to St. X Louisville in the Sweet 16. Lakota West Firebirds lost in the region finals to Pickerington Central after going 24-2, 16-0 inside the GMC.
Yeah.
Princeton Vikings D1 state champions, 25-3, 13-3 overall inside the GMC. And then the Wyoming Cowboys, the only team on this list that has not been mentioned already on this podcast, the D4 state champions, 27-2. 14-0 inside the CHL. And, of course, for those of you who may not remember what their big deal was this year, the Fab Four, a collection of guys on their roster, finally getting to the level of maturity, development, and how you all want it to come together, to piece it all together to become state champions. Brad, thoughts?
Okay, so I wanted to go and look at what Princeton's route to the title was.
Yes.
And they played Huber Heights 62-41. They played Oak Hills 49-22.
Yes.
Very interesting. It's a very interesting score. Lakewood St. Edward 77-51, and then they closed out with Hilliard Bradley with a 59-28 win for the Division I state title.
Yes. It's an ugly road home.
It's a very ugly road home, but it's also kind of impressive.
Yeah, they had multiple games where they held people below like 45 points, which is like at that level is crazy.
Yeah, it's just
because D1 is the biggest schools in the state, and you're just like
and Pickerington Central, who beat West, went through Centerville and beat lost to Hilliard Bradley in the next round.
Yeah,
because we could have had that West Princeton matchup if they had made it all the way there. That would have actually been really fun.
Yeah, God, that would have been incredible.
But yeah, I think you, because I was to pull back the curtain a little bit. We did have to restart this.
Yes,
I think we still have to eliminate Lakota West just off the fact that they lost in the region final.
Yeah, when you look at what's around, because like technically that's the Elite Eight, and Covcath went out in the 16.
Yeah,
but like still like,
but Covcath is against every single high school, and that's why it's so hard to even just eliminate them for losing there, because they have been such a good team this year.
It also makes it easier on West because we have the D1 state champion in Cincinnati.
Yes.
Like
also true.
Like, you know.
But I maintain West is the team I'm looking forward to most next year.
Yeah, 1,000%.
That I think is going to be
Tyson and Curry as seniors is a scary thought.
Absolutely. And with the thought of, we could have made it to the state title. Because they went undefeated in the GMC, so that means they beat Princeton.
Twice.
You know what I mean? They've done it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. See, it's also that thing where I'm just like, man, Covcath had 81 points per game this year.
They were filthy, dude.
And, like, nobody's close to 70 on the rest of your list type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Wyoming also was letting people score less than 30 or 40 a night.
Yeah.
Like, to play the inverse there.
I almost want to – I'm going to knock off Covcath.
Okay.
They have the player of the year, but they're not going to have team of the year.
I think it's valid, especially whenever it's not like last year, whenever we had a few champions or, teams that were even going, that the team of the year candidate, if there's 2 state champions, just let it be between them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes sense.
Okay, here's going to be my thing.
Yeah.
Do you think... See, it's hard to draw this comparison because, like, it's not really true. But, like, imagine UC did better this year.
Mm-hmm.
Would Miami still be your team of the year?
How good is better?
We'll say they made it to the Big 12 tournament finals and didn't lose lost half the games that they lost this year.
Okay, so that makes them like a 6 seed,
6 or 5, something like that, probably.
Still taking Miami.
Okay.
And the only
because in my head I'm like this is kind of like because like you have a D1 versus D4.
I see what you're going for.
Wyoming's kind of like a Miami. It's a little smaller.
Princeton would win this game between the two, but like that's not what the award is.
No.
My choice from the onset is Wyoming. Because the Fab Four, being able to keep your 4 kids together, develop them to the point that they became champions,
and
crazy.
And you know me, I love a team that sticks together.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Matt Painter taught you so well.
I love Ryle football has been
true.
Have been my boys.
I didn't even think about that.
Too.
Yeah, duh.
Let's go with Wyoming. I'm going to give Wyoming our team of the year. I was about to say state championship.
No, congratulations, you won the 19
on the clock team of the year.
Oh my gosh. Well, there you go. It's been such an eventful year in the Tri-State, and it is lovely to be able to look back on it a little bit because it's been so fun. It
is, and again, I think the best part about this year has been the fact that you're like, oh yeah, these are all these really good players, and we're going to see them next year again.
Yes.
Still. We're expecting to see them again next year.
Yeah. Of our 3 of the folks on the All-Star lineup are coming back.
Yeah.
And Dante Farley might even be back. I think he's a senior, but let me double check.
Yeah. Take your time. But especially that, and we'll look at the honorable mention list again here real quick because you're right that it's just there's so many good players this year that you had to eventually be like, I gotta put a limit.
Yeah. Okay. So Farley is a senior, but
that's fine.
Because even guys like the ECC was such a fun conference to watch this year. Toby Strasbaugh, Carson Duke, Chase Martin, all got mentioned there. It was just a fascinating season.
ECC and the GMC, I feel like, were the two conferences essentially.
And if you look through this, it's like you get a couple CHL, you get 1 or 2 GCL, But it's these lists are primarily dominated by those 2 conferences. Also, I guess shout out Liam Rogers and James Hughes as our Indiana representatives.
Hey,
Liam from East Central, Hughes from Batesville. But bad. Where can they find us? Because next week we're going to do this, but on the girls' side.
Yes.
Until then,
you can find us wherever you get your podcasts, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon Podcasts, all under the header Fox 19 Now Sports. That's where you also find the next day after the live streams of the Gold Standard. But you can watch those live with Joe Daneman and Charlie Goldsmith talking all things. Right now, probably talking all things Reds. for the foreseeable future. But I'm sure they will also be bringing up Joe Flacco re-signing.
Calhoun. No, they won't cover Calhoun. Never mind.
There's probably a little mention. I'll Joe, don't hate me, but I don't listen to the entire episodes every time that I post them. But I do listen enough where I go, oh, what are you talking about this week? And there's been a couple times where I'm like, oh, they're talking about, like, I didn't expect them to talk about like a college thing, but here they are. That's cool.
There you go.
And so, but yeah, you can watch those live streams on the Fox 19 Now Plus app that is on Roku TV, Apple TV, Fire TV. You just have to get the Fox 19 Now app. It is free. And those live streams, I believe, have been Wednesdays or Thursdays at 8 p.m., something like that. Now,
sounds right.
I know it's at 8 p.m.
I think it's
the days are weird for me.
Yes, I believe it's Thursdays.
And I would be shocked if it's Thursday this week. But
yeah, no kidding.
Keep an eye on it.
Yes, yes, indeed.
That is all that we have for this week, though. As always, you can also follow us on social media. Our X pages are below, and you can give us your thoughts on who is your All-Star of the year. But until then, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one.